This is the first year I'm actively celebrating and participating in Lunar New Year. Not in Vietnam, not yet, but at home with my mom, helping her prepare offerings and waiting for the incense to finish burning. This year is special because it is the year of the fire horse, thus marking 2 zodiac cycles since I was born. While I'm not an expert, there are still some pretty cool things happening this year that I'd like to share with you. Go grab yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, whatever it is you like doing while watching and listening to a YouTube video, and let's get on to it. As I mentioned, this is the first year I'm actually really participating in the Lunar New Year, because previously I was, well, when I was a child I wasn't participating too much, but also then I was a student and I moved away from my hometown, and last year I was working as a teacher still, so I couldn't really help out my mom too much with things. But this year, you know, I will have a short break in my studies, so I will be able to finally help out with preparing the food, observing the burning incense and that kind of thing. So if you're not too familiar with how Vietnamese people do Lunar New Year, this is what I know from what my family has been doing. Do keep in mind that we live in France, and so a lot of the things that people would do in their home country, in my case, my mom's home country, Vietnam, aren't necessarily always available when they live abroad. So what we do is that we usually prepare a basket full of fruits that we are going to offer to the ancestors, and we're going to pray the ancestors, because it is believed that on the day of the New Year, Tết in Vietnamese, the ancestors are welcomed to walk amongst the living for 3 days, and then they are sent back into the spirit world. And so this is why on the day of the New Year's and then 3 days afterwards, there is a special vegetarian meal that is offered, and then you burn the incense and pray to the ancestors. That's how it goes. There are a couple of other rites that happen during the New Year's too that I can share with you. First of all, so we prepare vegetarian food, we prepare the food basket, and when it is midnight, we light incense, pray to the ancestors, wait until the incense is completely done, and then we go to bed. And so that can sometimes take 2-3 hours. That's why I never really did it before, but I will be doing it with my mom this year. And then the following day, when you wake up, someone in the household goes outside with the red pocket, the red packet where there is money inside. You may have seen them. I'll put one on the screen if you don't know what that is, if you aren't Asian, but if you're Asian, I'm certain you probably would have seen it and grown up with it. Those red packets that contain money. You also get them at temples too, when you go see the monks and all that. Anyways, so one person in your household, the person whose zodiac sign is the most fitting, will go outside the house, walk around the neighborhood a little bit before coming back with their red pocket, paper pocket, red packet, the red packet, and offer to the members that are within the house, and the people within the house will then give back their own, well, ones that they also had, to the person who went outside. So you exchange this, and this is bao lì xì in Vietnamese, and you exchange just. Actually not too sure about why you do this. If I remember in the editing, I will put the reason on the screen, if I remember to ask my mom why you actually do this. But yeah, this is something that is done. And of course, and I mentioned that 3 days after the the new year, there is another meal to send off the ancestors back to the spirit world. So this is like these are the rites that happen. Of course, you have some typical dishes with New Year's. Vietnamese people have bánh chưng and bánh tét that have really interesting myths to them as well. I won't deep dive into them right now because that's not really the topic of the video, but if you're interested, tell me in the comments and I will make a video about it, though I'm no expert about it, but there are a lot of like really cool Vietnamese legends. A lot of them surrounding food actually. So yeah, this is what happens with the rites. And then if we really dive into the new year, which happens to be the year of the fire horse, there are really interesting things about it. So first thing you need to know about the zodiac, whether it's the Vietnamese one or other Asian countries' zodiacs, is that you have 12 animals that are associated with each zodiac sign, right? And I know that the Vietnamese zodiac is different from the Chinese and the Japanese one. We don't have the rabbit. I don't know which of the zodiacs of the Vietnamese zodiacs is exchanged for the rabbit. I'm not too sure, but there are differences. So the Vietnamese one has Tý Xỉu Dần, Mèo Thần Tý, Ngọ Mùi Thân, Dậu Tuất Hợi. Of course, I will have put them on the screen, and I'm reciting them in Vietnamese because actually I have memorized it in Vietnamese, and translating it in my head would take too much time, so that's why I'm not saying it in English. But there's all the 12 zodiacs. Each year is associated with its own zodiac sign, but each zodiac sign also is associated with a specific element and a specific type of animal. I will go deeper into this. If you're enjoying this video and are still sticking around, I would love for you to do me a great favor. Push that like button for me. It really helps with the channel. So basically, I was born in 2002, which is the year of the horse, right? So I was born the year of the horse. So far, I think you're still with me. But each year of the horse is associated with a specific type of horse. In 2002, the horse that was associated with that specific year was a war horse. So it's supposed to add a couple of characteristics and features to the people who were born within the year. So I was born the year of the horse, but not any horse, the war horse. And then I was born on the year of the wood horse, but it's not any kind of wood, it's a willow tree. So it's like a very steady, big tree. I could have been like born the year of like the fern, you know. The size of the object or the element, rather, and the type of animal indicates features for the people who are born within the year. There is something else too that people take into account, which is the time of birth. If you're born when your animal that is associated with the year you're born in is sleeping or eating, it means that your life is going to be smooth. Whereas if you are born when the animal you're associated with is working, it means your life is going to be a bit tougher. So I was born at 1:35 in the morning. So the horse was sleeping, which means I've got a more smooth sailing one, if that is to be believed. Another thing too, which I am not too sure about how you would translate it. I guess the best word for it would be essence. And this is something that I didn't know until like the past few years, because my grandmother told me, and my grandmother is much more knowledgeable about the zodiacs and things like that in general. There is this other component, essence, which is you may be a wood horse, but your essence is that of the fox. And I'm saying you, but I mean me. It's kind of like a big cooking recipe where you throw in a lot of ingredients, you mix, and then everything mixed together gives the characteristics of the individuals. And the last layer to all of this is that The closer you are born to the new year, the more characteristics of the other zodiac sign you have. If you're born right after the new year, you carry characteristics from the past zodiac. And if you're born right before, you carry characteristics of the one after. That's how it works. So the ones who are born smack dab in the year are the ones who are the true zodiac, in the sense that they have more of that zodiac's essence without being influenced by the zodiac that was before or the zodiac that is coming. And that is my case. I was born in September, so smack dab in the year, I was not on the fringe. Becoming Bamboo is where I share my journey of rewinding the mind, building resilience, finding balance in mind, body, and soul, using tools like hypnotherapy, storytelling, and other holistic tools. I hope you will walk this path with me to becoming Bamboo. And do consider subscribing if you're enjoying this video. Now, a pretty cool thing about the Zodiac is that not only is it more complex than you might think, it's not just the fire horse. By the way, I don't know the details of this year, 2026, because the places where you go look this up, and there are articles about this, are all in Vietnamese, and I can read Vietnamese, but the level of the language is just simply something I cannot understand, and it is such a specific type of things because it's talking about astrology, zodiacs, and kind of like higher concepts that even my mom struggles to understand sometimes. Like my grandma is the one who usually tells us what it means, and still my mom can pretty much get it, but like this is like beyond what I can understand because my vocabulary in Vietnamese isn't that, good or like widespread. So personally, it's too difficult for me to understand. That's why I'm taking the example of 2002. But if you're curious, I might make a post about it if you request it. So put it in the comments if you want me to go a bit more detailed about what 2026 will be. And that will mean that the babies who are born after, Lunar New Year in 2026 and beginning of 2027, those characteristics will be true for them. Because if you were born before, you would need to look up like the year you were born, everything. I mean, you get the principle. Comment down below which year you were born and tell me how much you actually know about the zodiac signs. So, the really cool thing is the relationship between animals, zodiac signs, and the animals and the elements within the zodiac. And by that I mean, it is believed that whatever your zodiac sign is and the subsequent element is going to tell how you're going to mesh with someone else. So for example, in my family, I'm a wood horse, my mom is a wood mouse, and my father, with whom I'm not in good terms with, is a tiger, a metal tiger. So if you look at those animals, the horse and the tiger usually get on pretty well because the horse isn't afraid of the tiger and the tiger isn't afraid of the horse. At least that's how the relationship works according to people who really study these kind of things. So horse and tiger get along. The horse and the mouse do not get along at all, and the mouse gets eaten by the tiger. My mom and my dad, not compatible, and me and my mom, not compatible according to this. But there is another layer to this, which are the elements. I am wood, so is my mom. So this is like me being compatible with my mom. But metal kills plants. It cuts them down. So this is where, my father is not compatible with either of us in that sense. It could also mean that there will be tension. But you can interpret it any way you want to interpret it, honestly. And I'm not going to tell you to believe it or not to believe it. That's up to you. But I find it really cool and interesting regardless. Another really interesting fact is that Japanese people, you will see, will have a significantly lower rate of birth in 2026. And here's why. The year of the fire horse, as I said, horse, headstrong, determined, free-willed. And fire kind of like makes those qualities, or traits rather, worse or better, depending on how you see it. It magnifies them, basically. If you're familiar with Japanese society, you know how they want women to be more of a demure, stereotypically feminine, gentle kind of women. And so the fire horse is kind of like the opposite of that, because it's ambitious, it's headstrong, it's, you know, fiery. And because of that, because mainly they don't want to have girls born on the year of the fire horse, usually couples abstain from having children that year. I don't know how strong the belief still is in Japan, but the last time it was a fire horse year, it was in 1966. And if you look at the records of birth rates, you will see that it significantly dipped just that year, and that's why. And the reason why I know this is because I studied Japanese in college. Didn't retain too much, but I did retain that fact, and I was like, ooh, that's cool, that's interesting. So here's that factoid for you. Speaking of Japanese, you will notice, if you're an anime manga fan, that what I have been speaking about should sound a little bit familiar, because yes, Naruto makes references to the Zodiac. If you look at, and of course it's the Japanese tradition, not the Vietnamese one, which makes sense because, you know, Japanese manga. So you look at the hand signs, these are all the Zodiac animals. So I thought it was a pretty fun nod that you also find it in Naruto. And to be fair, Naruto is actually great for learning Japanese words and concepts like elements, numbers, animals, that kind of thing, and a parenthesis. So this is not the video about Naruto, but yeah, it's pretty cool to learn Naruto about it. By the way, believe it or not, this is another fun fact, but I actually have a verbal, do you still call it tick in English? I'm not too sure. I have a verbal, I guess, habit. It's not a databayo, but, you know, in, like, for me, it's you know, and I have it in every language that I speak. I think in Japanese it would be datta na, datta ne, dayone, dayone, dayone. It would be dayone, I think, the equivalent of, and I'll do this in every language. Anyways, it just like crossed my mind. A cool thing about the Year of the Fire Horse is that, you know, this is all the Asian traditions, the Asian zodiacs, but there are some pretty interesting parallels with the Western zodiac too, because this year is an incredibly fire-heavy year in Western astrology. You've got Saturn that is going to be in Aries. Was it Neptune also that was going to be in Aries? Like, there you have so many planets that are going to move into Aries. Like, it's an incredibly fiery, heavy year. And also, pretty cool, interesting thing, this intensity you can also see with numerology, because 2026, when you add up the digits, it's equal to 10, and then you add up the 1 with 0, it's equals to 1. So it's a year 1, which is a year of new beginnings, of initiating things. So I found it really interesting that it happens the year of the fire horse, and of like a very fire heavy in Western astrology too. I hope this wasn't too random of a topic, but yeah, I'm pretty excited for that this year. It's so weird to like mix in Vietnamese with English, because I need to kind of stop, pronounce correctly, and then go back to English. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna share it with whoever's gonna end up watching this, because I think it's pretty neat. So yeah, and I'll tell you if I eat anything something special for the New Year's, but I don't think I will. I think it will be vegetarian dishes mostly.